Welcome to Comcast Newsmakers, everyone. I'm Alexis Cairo. We're here today at the Utah State Capitol for the 2016 legislative session. Our guest this hour is Representative Fred Cox, and we're going to talk about a couple of bills that really people can really relate to. One is making it easier to get a referendum on the ballot, and two is daylight savings time. Let's start with daylight savings time. Want to get rid of it, right?
Yes. Basically, this is the third year that I've asked voters in my area whether they like daylight savings time or not. And this year I asked three questions. Do you want to keep daylight savings time the way we're currently doing it? Do you want to go on daylight savings time year round? But the favorite is going to Mountain Standard Time year round, like Arizona does. And I'm getting about 60% that like the Mountain Standard Time year round, about 20% that like what we currently are doing, and 20% that want to go daylight savings time year-round. The interesting thing is last year the legislature in Nevada voted to go Pacific Daylight Time year-round.
Oh.
Now, to do that option, you have to get the federal government approval. But for us to opt out of daylight savings time like Arizona does, we just have to pass a bill and have it become law.
What is the argument for getting rid of daylight savings time?
Well, some people just hate changing clocks, but a lot of people, it's their schedule. And the biggest number of people that want to get rid of daylight savings time, they're actually parents with younger kids. There are certain times of year that it affects how light it is going to or from school. And there are individuals with Alzheimer's, not Alzheimer's, but various different challenges as far as medical, that their kids, or in some cases adults, have a harder time dealing with that time change. Okay. There's obviously disadvantages. There's the farmer that has a day job doing something else.
Right.
And they go
that
home.
Extra hour, yeah.
They go home after, quote, work to work on their farm, and that hurts. Right. And there's the lacrosse coach and a couple other people that think I'm going to ruin their life.
Right.
I've lived in Utah for over 50 years. I will survive either way. But the only reason I'm running the bill is consistently we're getting around 60% people that are just saying,
right.
Let's get rid of daylight savings time and go Mountain Standard.
And speaking of constituents and you know, percentages of people who approve or disapprove, you're also looking at changing the referendum requirements.
Right. Instead of necessarily giving someone more time, what I noticed this last year was there was a bill that didn't get the required 2/3, because once a bill gets 2/3 of both houses, it's not subject to referendum. And so it didn't get that. They were upset about it. They were going to run a referendum, and that requires getting approximately 100,000 signatures in 15 counties in around 35 days. So it's really, really hard to pull off. But they're ready to do it, but they wanted to know if the governor was going to veto it or not. The current deadline is 5 days after the legislative session to turn in your referendum request. But the governor has up to 20. And so in this case, they were basically going,
it's not fair.
It's not fair.
So how would they, because we only have about 30 seconds left, but how would this change it?
This would basically fix it so that they could wait and see if the governor was going to veto it or sign it, or let it become law without a signature, and then they would have 5 days to start the referendum request and get it approved, and then they could get their signatures.
Okay, two really interesting bills. We'll be watching.
Thank you very much.
Our guest has been Representative Fred Cox. I'm Alexis Cairo. This is Comcast Newsmakers.